Veterans Day is a federal holiday meant to honor anyone who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It was originally started at the end of World War I and was known as Armistice Day. It is celebrated every November 11th. PNN reporter Julia Klimek's grandfather was in the Band of Brothers. Now to her package on her grandfather.
My name is Julia Klimek. My grandfather, Herbert Suerth, fought in World War II and was in the Band of Brothers.
I was probably about 19 and a half, probably. I enlisted a month before the draft took place in the U.S. And then I went overseas.
What is the background between Grampy and the Band of Brothers?
So what's the background between Grampy and the Band of Brothers? He actually joined the Easy Company of the 506th Parachute Regiment in the 101st Airborne. So at that time, it wasn't really known as the Band of Brothers. It was known much more as the 101st Airborne. And all of those men were actually paid a little bit more because they had to jump out of airplanes.
That was a big attraction to people because that was double what you were getting in paid. In fact, it was more than double because it was an extra $50 a month. And at that time, I think the Army was still at $35, but they were heading toward 50.
He trained, and then he was considered a replacement. So he did not jump on D-Day because he was so young when he enlisted. So he actually became a replacement in his very first combat experience that was live was the Battle of the Bulge. So my dad was actually not in World War II for as long as many of the other men because many of them jumped and then walked and fought their way through France and Belgium and ultimately into Germany. So Grampy actually came in the Battle of the Bulge, which is one of the most famous battles really in all of World War II. So during the Battle of the Bulge, he was severely injured when a grenade, shrapnel from a grenade, went through both of his legs. They broke both of his femurs, shattered them, and left him in the cold and snow, and he wasn't really sure if he was going to live or not.
And these tanks came in and parked right up in back of us. Well, this kid lit a cigarette. It was black. There was no moon. There were a few stars. You couldn't see anything, and he lit a cigarette. And within about 30 seconds, wham! .188 came right in, killed 4 guys, wounded a whole bunch of guys, including myself. I got wounded, a shell fragment hit my right femur on the side and the thigh and went right through both legs. Shattered my bones in my femurs. I spent 9 months flat on my back. Well, they put me in a pile of snow first. That's what saved my life. But part of it tore off this whole underside of my leg here is gone. Why I am as mobile as I am today, I can't figure it out, but I am lucky.
What was Grampy like growing up as a kid?
So Grampy, my dad, grew up on the south side of Chicago, so not far from South Bend.
First of all, I was an only child, which had a pretty neat existence for someone with mother and dad both worked, and I learned to take care of myself pretty well.
So that's how my dad grew up, very humble and a good Catholic family, and he was very close with his mother and father. And then after he joined the Army and came home, he went to Marquette University and became an engineer.
What was your favorite story from Grampy?
What's my favorite story from Grampy? So my fondest memories of my dad are definitely those of swimming either on hot summer nights before we would go to bed because we didn't have any air conditioning in our house, or just swimming on the weekends where we could enjoy our time. And my dad and I would go for long swims along the shoreline of the lake. So that was one of the fondest memories of my dad. And then also sailing. My dad was a big sailor, right? And my dad had a sailboat called Airborne, which was after the 101st Airborne. And so we would do a lot of sailing on Lake Superior, and those are some of the very fondest memories I have of my dad.
What made you most proud of Grampy?
Well, there's lots of things that make me proud of Grampy. Are you proud of Grampy?
Yes.
What did you love most about Grampy?
When he smiles at me.
When he smiles at you, and did he call you Pumpkin?
Yes.
Yes, Grampy called you Pumpkin a lot, didn't he? Yeah,
Mhm.
So, and he loved you very much. So what was I most proud about?
Yeah.
Well, I was most proud of my dad for being my dad. He was a very humble person. And, he never spoke about his time in the war. We all knew as children that he was a veteran, and we knew obviously that he had been severely injured because he had a lot of scarring on his legs, and he couldn't do a lot of activities like running and jumping and playing the way that a lot of other dads did. So we always knew that, but it never stopped him from being a wonderful, supportive dad. He was very kind and gentle. He didn't have a cross word to say about anybody. I think today it's very difficult for kids to understand how important what people like my father and many thousands of people did in World War II, because it created freedom for many people who may not have had freedom if it weren't for World War II, right?
Yes.
Yes, so the world would be a different place without World War II, right?
Yeah. What is the most important thing you would like to carry forward from Grampy?
What would I like to carry forward from Grampy? Well, that being humble is extremely important in life, always willing and to support and help people, right?
Yeah.
And he always said if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't trade it for anything, because he knows his life would be was very full and rich with 9 children and a beautiful wife, and he was able to have a full life experience, and he always felt that he had a wonderful life despite the fact that he had to live with pain and injuries. He was never unhappy about that. So I would like for people to remember all veterans with great and deep respect, because they have given so many sacrifices for our country.
I was lucky, I got E Company at a 506, and it ended up to be the Band of Brothers, and it's changed my life. And as I look back at it now, that experience has been incredible as far as my life story goes.
Thank you for watching, and happy Veterans Day.